Safeguarding existence. The farmer's role in an era of smart cities and AI dominance. Introduction. Farmers, as the custodians of the earth and the providers of our sustenance, you have always occupied a pivotal position in all of human history. You do not simply grow food to keep city people alive, as is often said in the media and in the cities. The most crucial aspect of education is selecting a teacher who possesses accurate knowledge and understanding, and this allows everyone to have critical thinking, sense-making, and the ability to precisely solve problems. Ensuring that your educator is well educated, understanding of our roots, and even a little bit of history, and not misinformed and ethical, is fundamental to receiving a quality education. Such teachers are able to align the design of the 21st century better by being more in harmony with the experiences of the past, and will likely be less likely to corrupt our shared destiny. We will try to explain the farming role as we have learned it from the farming families that a few of our team members came from, and what everyone that is alive today depends on your struggle, not just your family and your farm. Everyone. The urban migration and its impact. The world is experiencing an urban shift of unprecedented scale, with over half the global population now dwelling in cities. This exodus, largely from rural to urban domains, signifies a profound change in human society and our interaction with the planet. We don't suspect or generally believe that anyone explained in school for the last 120 years that this global shift of billions of people would choose to move or would be planned to be moved to a city. And even in the North American education systems, civilians do not hear farming training or history, or the basic significance of not doing farming as a culture going into the future. Economic sustainability in a hyperinflation debt world. The current global economic scene, characterized by rampant inflation, hyperinflation, and surging and unsustainable global debts for over 70 countries, paints a bleak future. In 2023, the world hovered on the brink of depression, triggered by sovereign debt crises, inflation issues, and escalating global conflicts, problems which only seem to continually escalate since 2020. This fragile economic situation poses a serious threat to urban living models, which lack self-sufficiency, resilience, preparedness, emergency systems, redundancy systems, fault-tolerance systems, backup energy systems, backup food systems, decentralized and compartmentalized power systems, sovereignty legislation, self-defense legislation, and economic independence. These risks, the lack of robust economic and life support systems, are not typically concerns for global farmers, often self-sufficient and economically efficient. Farmers, especially in places like Eastern Europe and other regions steeped in traditional ways, operate without the concept of a mortgage. Farms are passed down through generations, remaining within families indefinitely. Unfortunately, in North America, people have been conditioned to a more transient lifestyle, to remove concepts of attachment to location, constantly uprooted for the next best thing, lacking strong physical ties or natural bonds to any specific place, and often failing to maintain deep connections with their land. This issue is further exacerbated as influential groups seek to dilute the concept of national bond of the citizens, open borders and border law infractions, and cultural bonds in Western societies, eroding the sense of belonging and attachment to one's roots. The urban dwellers of North America, trapped in a cycle of perpetual capital generation requirements, or ongoing income requirements that continually escalate in income requirement every year, to sustain life in a non-natural, non-biological, non-sustaining system such as a city house or condo, and in a surveillance, big data, social credit, CBDC, digital ID, smart city-like, dystopian economy expectation, and possibly dying economy with coping with fast approaching demographic decline, resource scarcity, continually worsening arable and fertility drops, and the rise of pollution. City dwellers now find themselves facing a reality in the loss of autonomous, independent, sovereign, self-sufficient, national bond, and grounded rural life. The underappreciated value of farms. Farms, historically the foundation of human civilization, the engine of big family creation and city development of all advancing civilizations, starkly contrast the urban model. requiring minimal capital compared or minimal income to operate. Before banks invented mortgages in recent times, and before city officials caused land bubbles to raise the real estate price and rental prices to exorbitant levels in the cities, farms have been hubs of productivity, familial cohesion, and large family support and large family creation. Do the government individuals think they will have population growth at all, or be able to reverse fertility drops without allowing some families to move outside of the city to a farm? This is nonsense, and science will verify this one day, probably by analyzing the relationship of modern food and modern technology in relation to fertility in city life and fertility from families living a farm life. What if the rise in technology capability and degree of use is inversely linked to biological life health and capability? If this relationship is true, what happens if we accelerate technological development with AI all of a sudden to an unprecedented level of, say, 10x improvement every 2 years using transformer tech of AI? Perhaps then it can be an outcome to reduce the biological health, if there is in fact a correlation between tech and health as we describe might be. The risk of severing humanity's connection to Earth. As farmers, your role surpasses mere food production. You embody the critical link between humanity and the Earth, a link endangered by the rush towards urbanization and technological dependence. This detachment threatens not only economic stability, but also cultural, biological, and spiritual bonds, as humanity drifts from the natural world that has nurtured it. The call to preserve agricultural roots. In these challenging times, it's imperative to acknowledge the importance of our agricultural heritage and to defend it at all costs, so that life on Earth can withstand the pressures that AI systems and AI-style conflicts or other types of conflicts, crises, challenges, and dangers will unleash in the 21st century. And with enough farmers taking up the role of knight of humanity's right to exist in their home, protecting the bond to a family home, protecting the bond that exists in society, showing it is still a family of citizens in a nation, we can demonstrate that our place on Earth is a right, if we, in the present, or predecessors have earned that right in the past. From farmers, probably we have had the strongest fighters and the strongest knights in reality. Look at the Ukrainians, there's your proof. And it is this strength that is gone now, but since you still have your physical strength, use it to anchor the world to your land, immutable and yours, and your actions will help the engineers of the 21st century to anchor society to safety and progress. Urbanization should not lead to the abandonment of rural values and rural awe. The rural concept of right to property as being inherited history and inherited from the building of a community. Maximum decentralization is the key to a prosperous the 21st century design requirements digitally, but also physically in city and in rural planning design. It's the best technology to have ever been devised of in the 21st century so far, as it can lead to maximum prosperity and safety for all. AI is great for progress, but decentralization is greatest for protection of systems, physical or virtual. The decisions of the farmers today is the last chance we will get to have a resilient future world. Farmers, you are not just producers of food. You are the stewards of a connection to the Earth. And in the age of the metaverse, matrix, and artificial intelligence, you are also the protectors of physical reality, helping urbanites from delving into next-generation delusions, hallucinations, mass formations, crowd madness, mental illness, supernatural ideology, mystical ideology, religious ideology, woke ideology, artificial intelligence worship ideology, science and medical ideologies, or dispassionate cruelty of those without morals. Farmers, you are crucial for the well-being of all biological life, as you have the psychological health, the physical health, the moral high ground, the common sense, the skills, all stemming from your divine-like desire to nourish and heal others, and from the fact that you do not bring such problems to society as we have described of urbanites. Most importantly, you are independent CEOs of life itself, with the power to save people who cannot save or help themselves, and in that regard, you are governors in the villages of the world and in the cities of the world. Never forget, the people that are special or elite are not the wealthy in reality, just numbers that change. The really wealthy are the ones that are kings on their land. Real land that is outside the control of the city administrative masters, like you. The really wealthy are those that can provide life to others, making them individuals with a reserved special status for all humanity. That is the social contract on earth, and that is one of the reasons we shouldn't dehumanize farmers. The fact that administrators for gov or banks reference legislation to take your wealth, or to act as if a country's wealth and land belongs to bankers based on legislation rather than to the people, doesn't mean anything. It only means someone tried to make their reality replace your reality, simply because they have written it down on a piece of paper and have cited it as absolute truth, or as proof of the reality of the truth. It's vital to strike a balance, ensuring a future where urban progress and rural preservation coexist, and the rules of rural life, which are created by farmers, are as valid as the rules of modern city-created legislation, which are created by urbanites, fostering a sustainable and resilient world for future generations, because of the power-sharing dynamic between city managers and rural land managers. Conclusion. Farmers, you stand as the final land guardian in a world undergoing rapid digital transformation. The urban populace in Canada has let city officials create zones around their cities that lock people economically inside the cities, and soon they desire to lock them in digitally inside the city as well, not allowing millennials or Gen Z to move out of the city at an affordable price since the year 2005 or so. 2 generations now at least, millennials and Gen Z cannot leave the city for the rural location, despite the abundance of land outside urban areas that is vacant in Canada. This is a place where the right of humans to live on land is most exploited of all countries on Earth based, especially over the last decade, as the quantity of resource per person available in Canada and land per person available in Canada is likely highest of all countries, and yet very close to 0% is accessible to 2 generations outside of city areas. In Canada, there's a prevailing belief among our young peers that all land assets in Canada was meant to be held in trust for the Canadian people, as outlined in the official Crown documentation, but perhaps it is held indefinitely in trust but never in reality. This is a memory that resonates with many who have come to this country as well, expecting this principle to be upheld, that Canada is a place with land, meaning it has land, not trusts. That is why people immigrated to Canada for 40 years, because it advertised as the largest piece of land on the globe map. However, there seems to be a disconnect, possibly a breach of this trust. This suspicion falls on city officials, who are thought to be complicit in this deviation, because by locking in the zoning and not engaging with every individual personally, it makes it such that no one ever moves out of a city. It's hard to conceive of a logical rationale for a country to hold land, except for the benefit of its people, an idea foreign to many other social planning concepts. Indeed, Canadians often take pride in their historical battles, but perhaps the greatest internal conflict has been this unseen war, the struggle of city officials against citizens access Canada's land. It's very strange because there are no animals to enjoy it either in the vast forests much larger than Europe, as compared to how many were in the past. This battle, arguably as significant as the push for high levels of immigration, presents a dilemma in identifying the most impactful Canadian conflict. The intensity of commitment from the officials in these matters is equally strong, leaving it unclear which of these could be deemed the greatest Canadian war in terms of its impact on society. Regardless, both actions mean that people are now disconnected permanently from anchor to reality. It's crucial to learn from this mistake of the city people of Canada and fight for land rights for humans as a whole. By fighting for your land rights, you can help set a precedent where humans are allowed in the 21st century to own land, and that rigid adherence to measurements, security principles, schematics and blueprints, or constants that do not inflate, will begin to fix the economy, legal and technical problems of the 21st century, and will make the alignment problem between artificial intelligence and humanity a lot easier to solve. Because you cannot align systems in a world without respect for property law, border law, digital cybersecurity law, biosecurity laws, self-defense laws, etc., or any other type of security law. You hold a unique authority as landowners, a concept deeply rooted in historical enlightenment and inherited rights, not just in legal documents explained by administrators or bank officials that are angry if you talk about the nation's land. In the face of economic and environmental challenges, your role is more vital than ever. Not only are farms at stake, but also the very essence of humanity's bond with the earth. As we navigate the rise in tech and conflict, resilience, rebirth, economic sustainability, and most importantly, your sovereignty and independence as independent authority, capability as leaders outside of cities, is a key element of designing positive 21st century.